CNN News 18 on the Colgate scam. The BJP has now hit back at the Congress party, saying that the biggest scam took place under the UPA-era, and Sonia Gandhi defended the looters, and that even the top ministers questioned the CAJ during the probe.
The government of Manmohan Singh ji, which was actually run by Sonia Gandhi, was a Congress of the looters, by the looters, for the looters. First, the world's biggest scams took place under the UPA's watch with the UPA's mandate. One of those scams was the coal scam of 1.86 lakh crores. And when the CAG, a constitutional body, was attempting to unearth the extent of this scam, all the ministers and top leaders of the Congress party, and at that time you would remember, from Mr. Chidambaram to Mr. Kapil Sibal, all of them said that no scam took place. And then, to ensure that the CAG does not get its hands on the proof and the evidence of the scam, not only was the efforts of the CAG stonewalled, but the manner in which every attempt was made to shield and protect the corrupt.
Let me take this across to my colleague Aman, who is joining us from the CNN News 18 newsroom. Aman, the exclusive news break that you had given to CNN News 18, that conversation with the former Director General of Audit, P. Shesh Kumar, is having a lot of resonance. The political discourse is surrounding this. And now there is a counter that's coming in from the Bharatiya Janata Party over the claims that have been made so far by the leadership of the Congress Party.
Well, yes, Griha, P. Shesh Kumar, the then Director General of Audit of CNAG, in his new book has made these explosive revelations. He's basically said that when the CNAG exposed the coal scam in 2012 through its report, pegging it at rupees 1.86 lakh crore, subsequent to that, when they went to audit the record at the coal ministry, there was complete stonewalling of the CNAG. They were, not given the key files, almost 200 plus files they had needed. Only 2 were provided. Files were deliberately hidden from the CNAG. They were given a small room next to a stinking toilet in one corner of the building of the coal ministry as a message that they should not, probe much into this. Still, Shesh Kumar in his book writes that the CNAG was able to bring out some explosive evidence which has led to Supreme Court cancelling all those coal allocation licenses, and subsequently the CBI's criminal probe into this whole case has seen 19 convictions so far, including the then coal secretary. But what the Shesh Kumar is also writing, that the entire might of the UPA government, then Prime Minister, rubbishing the CNAG report on the floor of the Parliament, top ministers, doing press conferences against CNAG. He recounts what a tough time the CNAG had to unearth what still continues to be one of the biggest scams in India at rupees 1.86 lakh crore, even bigger than the 2G scam. And now BJP, we saw Shehzad Poonawalla do a press conference today and say this particular incident shows how the UPA not only did corruption, but they also made their best efforts to hide this corruption from a constitutional body like the CNAG.
Right, absolutely, Aman. Thank you so much for that. In fact, that startling revelation that the former Director General of Audit, P. Shesh Kumar, made in that conversation with Aman, and also through that book where he spoke about how the then UPA government allegedly tried to block the Comptroller and Auditor General's probe into the massive coal scam, valued at over 1.86 lakh crore rupees. That is the biggest scam in India's history, even surpassing the 2G case. Listen into that conversation that Aman has had with P. Shesh Kumar.
And I was reading your book with great interest, and one point which I read, which made a lot of sense to me and left me quite surprised, that the officials were very cagey. Crucial files went missing or were delayed. What are these crucial files, you think, which were hidden by the authorities of that time from the CAG, and what impact did it have on the probe?
Amanji, namaskar. The whole audit report, the word scam and all was the attribute of the media. CAG didn't use the word scam. He reported on the allocations, and which were apparently, there were no criteria, they were not transparent, there was no equal opportunity, nepotism, patronage, arbitrary, illegal, right up to Supreme Court it went, and ultimately you are aware Supreme Court cancelled those 214 allocations, right from 1993. So now coming to CAG's audit difficulties, no auditing institution welcomes anybody to come and find faults with itself, so that is accepted. But then CAG being a constitutional authority, and ministry is a part of government, they cannot they may delay, they may some way obfuscate, or that may give some records which are innocuous and waste our time, so that our teams don't have adequate time to analyze the meaty issues. So that is what has happened in this case. See, out of 200 blocks and more than almost 150, 200 screening committee meetings, I think CAG's teams were given access to only about 2 or 3 screening committee meetings. So, and unless the screening committee minutes were examined, analyzed, and the policy file of the whole ministry examined in tandem, CAG could not have woven that story, or rather come out with this report. So there was delay, there was, I can say, non-cooperation, but ultimately with whatever was available, CAG prepared a report and he came up with quite sensational findings.
And sir, quoting from your book, I find this line which says one of the most frustrating hurdles was the denial of access to the screening committee's records. They had almost 40 to 50 meetings, but out of the 200 plus allocations, you could get hold of minutes of only 2 such meetings. So clearly it seemed that the government at that time was looking to hide something from the CAG.
Possibly. We don't know why it happened or how it happened. But the real point there is, if the CAG had examined even 30 screening committee meetings or another 15 meetings, probably the conclusion would have been the same. See, the 2 conclusions of CAG didn't depend on examining the 100% or 80% of the screening committee meetings. The same problem must have occurred in other screening committee minutes also and meetings. So the ministry didn't object. If it was so serious, if it was so clear that other screening committee meetings were very transparent, criteria were there, allotment was very properly done with equal opportunities, no patronage or no nepotism, they would have quoted some other such minutes. No, they didn't quote. So that means 2 or 10 or 50 may not have made much difference ultimately to the conclusions of CAG. That's what I feel.
One of the more shocking things that I found in your report, in your book, sir, that you say the ministry did not exactly roll out the red carpet. In fact, the auditors were given a tiny room next to a stinking toilet in in one corner of the building. Some saw it as a deliberate slight. Some even hoped the auditors would be discouraged and take the hint.
Yeah, that is my interpretation. It happens not only in this audit, in quite a few audits, audit is not welcome. It only very mature, very open-minded and ethical-minded bureaucrats or public sector heads, they would welcome audit as an aid to their future course of action or some sort of improvement they can bring about. But most of them, they are a little wary of being found fault with. It's a nuisance, avoidable nuisance in common parlance. So that is an occupational hazard for CAG.
But given a small room next to a stinking toilet looks pretty deliberate, sir, isn't it?
That is, I made a little bit of my interpretation there. I understand, yes, that was really what happened there. And the toilets, at that time at least, definitely, they were quite stinking. Now perhaps the situation has improved.